Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're here with another fun-filled day of science, and I'm so excited to be here with you. So yesterday we began reading our story from our textbook called Seeing the World Through Sound. Now, it has quotation marks because though we're still viewing the world through sound, they have quotation marks because one of the main characters in our story is blind. Okay, and Julie is blind. So this is a story told by another little girl. I cannot remember if we've read her name yet. I'm skimming the text here and I don't see it. But she's experiencing the world through Julie's eyes, which is really interesting. And we're finding out how sound plays a role in Julie's life. Julie has said that she does different things and relies on different senses in order to learn information about the world around her. So yesterday, they were about to cross the street, and this little girl warned Julie because there were cars coming, and she wasn't sure. Well, she knew Julie couldn't see them, so she said, "Hey, look out." So at this point, we stopped reading, and I asked you to think about how sound played a part in your life. What kinds of things do you hear? Or how do you use sound? I use sound every day communicating with my family. My sister and I live together, so we talk to each other about our day, about what we'd like to eat, about whose turn it is to unload the dishwasher, and things like that. But also here in making my videos for you. But I also really like watching TV with my sister and listening to music. Whenever I'm getting ready in the morning, I am listening to music. I have music playing when I go to bed or when I'm in the shower. I love listening to music. So things like that are ways that sound impacts my life, absolutely. But sound also impacts your life out about in the world because you have to listen to your surroundings in order to learn information. And that's what this little girl here is learning about her new friend, Julie, as well. Let's finish reading our story and find out how it impacts Julie. Julie says, "Thanks, but I can hear them in front of me. This is a busy street. Traffic is coming from both ways." I closed my eyes and realized that Julie was right. The sound of the cars had always been there, but I hadn't been paying attention. When the traffic light turned red, a box on the street corner began to chirp. "What's that noise?" I asked. "That sound tells me it's okay to cross," Julie said, and she headed off across the street. Soon we reached the building where my mother worked. When we went inside, Julie walked toward the escalator. "Can we use this, or do we have to take the elevator?" she asked. "We can take the escalator to the second floor," I said. "But how did you know it was there?" Julie explained how she used sound to figure it out. "I can hear the motor running and the steps moving," she said. When we got off the escalator, we went into my mother's office. "Hi, Mrs. Hernandez," Julie said when she met my mother. "You must be copying a lot of pages on the copier." I was surprised that Julie knew so quickly what my mother was doing. "I'm just finishing a job," my mother said. "I'll be ready to go in a minute." We left the office and got into the car. Soon we were out of the city and in the suburbs. After a moment, Julie said, "There's a siren behind us. It's getting closer." My mother looked in her rearview mirror. "It's a fire engine," she said. She pulled over to the side of the street. "I hope they put out the fire before anyone gets hurt," said Julie. When the truck passed us, my mother started driving again. We drove past rows and rows of houses. As we drove along, the houses grew further apart. Farms appeared along the road. We must be almost there, Julie said. I don't hear as many cars on the road, and I think we just passed a farm tractor. My mother looked at me and smiled. Julie was right again. Finally, we pulled into my aunt's into my aunt's horse farm. Her dog, Saddle, greeted us with a bark. I'll bet that dog is huge, she said. How do you think Julie knew that? She said, I can tell by his bark. It has a low pitch, and big dogs usually have low-pitched barks. You're right, I said. Saddle is huge. He's a St. Bernard. I took Julie out to the stables so she could pet the horses. Wait a minute. Julie stopped suddenly. Is there a creek ahead of us? I listened and noticed that I could hear water gurgling. Yes, I said. We're going to walk over a little bridge to get to the stables. Good. I don't want my shoes to get wet, Julie laughed. When we got to the stables, Julie stroked the horses on their noses. Later, my aunt came with us when we rode ponies. While we drove home, I thought about Julie and how she listened so closely to sounds. Sounds told her so much about the world. Now I'm learning to pay more attention to the sounds around me. Okay, the end. This being said, I would like you to think back on the day you had today, on things you've been doing, and the sounds you've heard. Or you can sit for a little while and close your eyes and listen to the world around you. Okay? And then tell me what you notice on your slide for today. Okay? I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.